Do you have anything in this shop as beautiful as she is?
Oh, yes. Oh, no. No. I'm saying we have many things as beautiful as she would want them to be. That's the point I was getting at. And I think we can all agree with that. That's why when you came in
Excuse me,
here,
you know what we're
you
going to
knew
need
from
here?
the first.
We're going to need a few more people helping us out. I'll tell you why. We're going to be spending an obscene amount of money in here. So we're going to need a lot more help sucking up to us because that's what we really like. You understand me?
Sir, if I may say so, you're in the right store and the right city, for that matter. Anything you see here, we can do, by the way. Get ready to have some fun, okay? Mary Pat, Mary Kate, Mary Frances, Tova, let's see it. Come on, bring it out.
Absolutely divine.
Great picture. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. Exactly how obscene an amount of money were you talking about? Just profane or really offensive?
Really offensive.
I like it so much.
All right, guys. Hey, wait, before we start. So I always check the numbers every few hours of downloads. The U.S. is now 75% of our market. And yesterday, we had 275 downloads.
Excellent.
From California. Must be a new listener. You must have downloaded most of our podcasts. You're batshit crazy, but hey, welcome.
Hello there.
Welcome to the madness.
Yep.
We like to call Citizen Frame.
Indeed.
And don't judge us by us choosing Pretty Woman. This is Trevor's fault.
Don't blame me. Do not blame me. But we're doing it for a laugh.
We did our last podcast on The Housemaid. And I can't remember what it was, why we brought up Pretty Woman.
I don't know. Like we were talking about just melodrama and stupid chick flicky type stuff. Soap opera type stuff. And it cropped up and I said that I hated it. So we decided because I hate it, we'll do it for a laugh. But I'm actually going to reverse my opinion. And I'm going to say that me saying that I hate it is actually a bit too strong. I don't hate it, but we'll get to the reasons why.
Well, you sent me a message when you were watching this the other day. And you said, I have never felt so much empathy for a hooker. Because you usually just, pay them and they leave. So you felt like, wow, I wish Jasmine and Shaniqua could be like Vivian.
Right. Who you mean? You mean Vivian, the most unrealistic hooker in the world ever?
Yeah. And it's like $100 an hour. If she would be like 1,000 an hour, probably. You would know the numbers better than I would.
I don't know the numbers. But what I do want to know is, where's her pimp? I mean, that's a big plot convenience.
Wow, no.
Sleazy pimp. Where's Harvey
They have a discussion. Nah, we'll jump into it, but they do tell you why they don't have a pimp.
Right. I know that they...
You didn't pay attention to the important dialogue.
I know that they... But it's convoluted, and it doesn't make sense. And it's too convenient.
It actually does make sense.
Right. Where's the madame? They at least should have had a madame.
Okay. Let's just jump into this for Christ's sake.
Go ahead.
We'll talk about the inner workings of being a prostitute on the next Citizen Frame.
The ins and outs. They need to
dispatches.
Yeah.
Citizen Frame investigates hookers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On the main streets of Belfast. No Hollywood Boulevard here.
Yeah, Pretty Woman. Directed by genius in the business. Absolute genius. Gary Marshall. He directed such films as Beaches, Overboard. Overboard is a fucking classic. You guys have got to see it. Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. One of the funniest movies ever produced. Nothing Uncommon. Runaway Bride, which was kind of a sequel to this. Just the same cast, really. And the very popular Princess Diaries. But he's really known as a producer, especially from the 70s. The Odd Couple, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley. Not to mention, his sister was Penny Marshall, who was in Laverne and Shirley, went on to direct Big, A League of Their Own, sadly taken too early with cancer. But pretty much a very talented family, the Marshalls.
Yeah, he's good TV.
Yeah, and he's definitely missed. Gary Marshall and Sidney Pollack, those two guys were just vets. And Norman Lear. Norman Lear was God. Mm-hmm. I mean, he lived like 102. I think Norman Lear is the one who did the Jeffersons, All in the Family. He was the guy who like pushed the envelope with his humor. Just in the 70s, just had just great
TV.
producing. Yeah, well, just in general, you had just talent that always knew how to push the envelope a little bit. And yeah, we talked about that with 70s producers and directors. Not only were they incredibly talented, but they left a mark, man. We talked about that with Freakin'. We talked about that with Zanuck and Brown. We talked about that with Walter Hill. We've talked about that with Sam Peckinpah. We keep going. But God, when they're gone, they're gone. You just don't get you don't get that talent back.
The 70s was a golden era for basically Western entertainment, in my opinion. Absolutely. Especially with films and TV as well. I mean, when I was younger, I would have said the 80s, but that was just pure biased nostalgia because that was the era I grew up in. But no, the 70s was a great era for sort of mainstream entertainment in terms of, the whole sort of Hollywood films and TV and such.
This was written by J.F. Lawton. Now, he does serious stuff. Under Siege. That's a cool little film. The one, movie that I think Steven Seagal likes.
Seagal. Yeah.
And Chain Reaction with Keanu and Morgan Freeman. And then, of course, his first movie, I can't believe no one's heard of it, Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Classic.
That's you know what? That's right up your fucking alley, you freak.
Absolutely. Yep. And you know what? While I haven't seen it, I now want to see it based on the title.
So once he had a script, and it was a very dark take on the escort service, a life and a day of a hooker, pretty much a week, I guess you could say, of a hooker. And it was called 3000 was the name of that original script. Very dark take, very bleak. And the original concept was a hooker, down on her luck, doing a lot of drugs, gets picked up by a rich man, and he offers her $3,000 to spend the week with him. And he wines her and dines her and yummy time and the whole 9 yards.
Her.
I didn't go there, but you did. I apologize to our listening audience. You perv.
Just... I'm assuming they didn't just hold hands. That's all I'm saying.
They did. The original novel, they just held hands.
Yeah, right.
And then at the end, she goes back to her drugs, and he finds out and takes the limo, brings her back to where she is, and instead of showing up the roses, he chucks her out of the car and throws the money at her. That was the original ending of the film you all know now as Pretty Woman.
I want to see that version.
Pretty Woman. Go ahead.
And also, it's worth noting that Bruce Campbell was up for the Edward Richard Gere role here. And so I want to see that version, but with Bruce Campbell, then he just pisses off and goes and fights deadites.
It's just stupid. Not just being silly. Being silly.
It's less stupid than what we got. Let's just say.
I remember the soundtrack's fucking brilliant. It Must Have Been Love by Roxette, Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison, King of Wishful Thinking I Love by Go West.
Yeah.
Go West was an underrated band.
Yeah, I
and then you had Real Well Child by Chris McKessick. It was just a really good soundtrack. I think it did over 2 million copies. Now, when they were casting it, everyone rejected it. Molly Ringwald, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, because of the subject matter. And Julia Roberts did test for it with Richard Gere. They hit it out of the park. Richard Gere said, no, I didn't want to do it. He was reluctant. Julia Roberts convinced him to sign on. Now, people say this is Disney. It isn't. It's not really Disney. Yes, by today's knowledge, you'd think it would be known as Disney. But what was going on with Disney at the time, Disney wanted to separate itself from animated. So they created 2 studios, Hollywood Pictures and Touchstone Pictures. And so what they did was they put their adult-themed live action stuff into those production teams or studios. They're actually studios. So there are subsidiaries of Disney. And this is where you got Pretty Woman. And so yes, by today, Disney would take full credit for it. But at the time, it was Touchstone Pictures.
Yeah, Disney, for all intents and purposes, made all the money. This is a Disney film, but
you do have to separate the two.
But title and everything. But
yeah, well, you do have to separate the two. I mean, people get confused with that. yes, Disney owns 20th Century Fox, but they don't give Fox, but Fox gets the money. Fox still gets their money from the Alien franchise and stuff. It's kind of like the Glazers. They own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they own United,
Yeah.
but they can't put in their money from United into Tampa Bay. It's the same kind of concept.
There's legalities.
Yeah, so Touchstone Pictures, for all intents and purposes, did. But yes, at the end of the day, the big giant is Disney.
I really, with more adult themed films, they just didn't want the Disney name to be associated with, but basically, more adult films like, to do with hookers and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I just said that.
Yeah.
They
it.
wanted adult themed live action, and they had and they've never done R-rated. That's why they brought on Hollywood Pictures and Touchstone Pictures, so they can deal with those and be more competitive in the market.
Yeah, apparently this was R-rated in America, but it
is R-rated.
It's not in the UK. It was always 15, and in fact, this was hugely popular with kids, young girls especially in the UK. I remember when I was a teenager first seeing it, and all of the young girls thought this was like the best film ever. But it is. There's not much R-rated stuff in this. There's no sex. All of the sex is suggested. You don't see anything. There isn't really nudity.
Yeah, you see her boobs.
But I just want to brag, but you don't actually see them.
No. If you pause.
He's at his pause it again.
No. They're in bed and they start kissing for the first time. And they're in the bed. You see her. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very brief.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not like
we have to pause it like Kieran does.
No, you see them. I mean, but it's beautifully orchestrated.
Right. It's artful. right. Okay. But there's very little swearing. I think there's only about 1 or 2 F-bombs.
Yeah, but once you hit 2, it's automatic R rating in the States.
Okay, right. It's different in the UK, but this was always a 15.
Yeah, PG-13, you can say the F word once. If you say it twice, it's R.
Yeah, well, as I said, it was always a 15 in the UK, and it was very much seen as a teeny type film, for teenagers. Because let's face it, it's a fairy tale. It's a Disney princess fairy tale.
It's Cinderella. Let's get that out of the way. All right, let's jump into it. And let's talk about the hooker with the heart of gold.
Yes, the ruthless businessman with a heart of gold.
$14 million this cost to make. Nothing by today's standards.
Yep.
It made $463 million worldwide.
Yeah, it was hugely successful. It was huge. I even at the time, I remember it was just hugely popular.
It's catapulted Julia Roberts. And good on her and Richard Gere. They both said they would never come back to do a sequel, ever. Now, when they were kind of not doing much, they did kind of a sequel, but not different characters called The Runaway Bride.
Follow-up. Yeah, it's more of a follow-up.
But it's different people, different characters.
Oh, yeah.
It's just terrible. Terrible film. It was. I
haven't seen it. And I remember it being released at the time. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't for me. I mean, this isn't for me, let's be honest. But, while in the last podcast I said I hate it, I don't really hate it. I just find it extremely stupid. But
let's jump into it. We got Richard Gere. He plays Edward. Julia Roberts is Vivian. Scene stealer. The best thing in the film, and really the only really good thing in the film I really like, is Hector Elizondo. He plays Barney, the hotel manager. Jason Alexander is Philip. Never liked Jason Alexander. Never thought he can act. He is annoying in this. You got veteran god Ralph Bellamy, who plays James. Alex Hyde-White, who plays his grandson David. They're the Morses. That's the company he wants to take over.
Yes.
And then you got Laura San Giacomo, who plays Kit. Right away we have a problem here. Now we mentioned it's a dark. The original was very dark. The problem is when they did rewrites, they needed to change some things. They keep some things in this that were probably part of the dark story, and they play on laugh for it. And it doesn't make any sense. Kit's the perfect example. You see Vivian, she's struggling, and she sees the landlord. She's got to go get the rent money. The rent money's gone. She goes to Kit, who's high on drugs at this club, and she goes, "Where's our rent money?" "Oh, you bought it to buy drugs?" "Well, yeah." And then the next scene, they're hugging and kissing and lovey-dovey. It's like, that's a pretty dark topic. and right now you've
Yeah.
taken me out of even wanting to like Kit because she's a thief and
Well,
is damaging any future that Vivian has.
the problem is the tone, like you said, where it's sort of played in a sort of blasé, sort of off the cuff way. Now, if you were going to do something about drug addiction and drug addiction with prostitutes, it would be a very different film than what we'll get. So you either just leave. I sort of get that they have to sort of at least reference that the darker side of prostitution. So, but it is you know what? I don't think you can make a film about prostitution successfully that isn't dark. So that's why I think this doesn't work. You know,
They should have done. They should have done, and they mentioned it. It's one night fix. Kit and her argue a bit about money, and she goes, "Why don't we get a pimp? Because there's more structure. There's more Johns available."
oh, that's a good idea.
And no, that's the whole point of a pimp. So
I know, but yeah.
let me finish. I'm talking about the life of a pimp.
Sorry, Huggy Bear.
so, 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 and then she goes, "We're not doing that because they're abusers. They'll steal your money, blah, blah, blah." You know, what all the cliches that come with a pimp. And she then, and as they're arguing, Kit doesn't quite get it. She's like the stupid one, I guess, or naive.
she's
Naive would
daft.
be a better word to use. And they try to explain why they don't do the pimp thing, and it just kind of what should have happened. This is sound terrible. Something should have happened to Kit, not die, but maybe she comes home with a black eye, and
That's a very different film.
no, and some John, roughs up a bit. I know I'm not condoning it for fuck's sake.
I know that,
and then took her money. Then you feel sorry for Kit. You understand the sense of urgency for them. They want to get out of this situation and so on. But making her a drug addict and taking Vivian's money makes you not like her, period.
they could have played more with the pathos and the tragedy of Kit, and yes, have her die of a drug overdose or something, because again, you're changing the tone completely. I think it's a terrible mix of setting this type of light-hearted romantic comedy in the world of prostitution. I just don't think it makes any real sense. They should have, regarding the pimp thing, they should have given them a madame, which is basically a female pimp, where they would have been able to get away with not showing maybe things like the sort of violence and stuff. But I sort of get that they have to reference in some way, the darker side of this, or else it would literally be encouraging young women to become hookers, which it arguably does a wee bit anyway. But it's just it's a weird mix of tone, and it's just a bit ridiculous, in many ways. The fact that Julia Roberts, with her perfect teeth and her smile, has always bugged me. I think it makes her look like a bit of a village idiot, and and it's a bit fake as well. I don't completely buy it, but anyway, it's just by the way, I think Julia Roberts, she's won an Oscar and stuff. She can obviously act to a certain extent. I think she's terrible here, and
I'm not a fan of Julia Roberts at all.
Yeah,
she's always worked well with supporting actors. Flatliners,
somebody propping her up. Yeah,
Albert Finney stole that movie where she got the Oscar.
Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah. She was good in The Pelican Brief with Denzel Washington. I like that one.
Flatliners is my favorite of hers.
And her teeth it's a family thing. Her brother has had the exact same smile.
Like her uncle, Eric Roberts.
That's her brother, isn't it?
Sorry, no, her uncle. That's her uncle. So he
uncle
is
or brother?
He's uncle. So he is, and also, do you know
Emma Roberts? They had a falling out because she ended up raising Emma Roberts, who I like. She's a good actress.
Right. Okay,
and that's Eric Roberts' daughter.
Right. Yes. But of course, there's a massive Doctor Who reference.
Oh dear God!
Eric Roberts played the Master in the 1996 Doctor Who TV movie up against Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor. So
who gives a fuck? I do. I don't give a fuck.
No, I've never really been a fan of Julia Roberts, and I think she's bad here.
I said that's ironic because I like Eric Roberts is a good actor. I think he's underrated, and I like
Yeah.
Emma Roberts.
She was good in Scream 4.
Yeah, she's good. She's a good little actress.
Yeah.
She's little now. She's like 40.
Yeah.
I think the story getting now when we get to the main part of the story, it works okay for me. But the whole intro is terrible. He can't drive this Lotus. He pulls
Stupid.
up, and she comes up. Do you want to date? Can you get me to Beverly Hills? You don't know. You're a fucking successful businessman. You've been to LA plenty of times. You don't know how to get to fucking Beverly Hills.
You know why they
And
yeah. Go
and
ahead.
so he pays her to give her instructions and lets her drive the car. It's really stupid.
Yeah. I think the reason of all this convoluted nonsense, how they meet and stuff, is because they don't want to paint him as a sleazeball because the audience would then lose sympathy. They want the audience on his side. So if he is basically just being creepy McCreeperson, looking a hooker to get his end away or whatever, the
His
audience...
end away.
Yes, it's text. Okay, they the audience will immediately lose the type of audience for a rom-com will immediately the female audience mostly, let's be honest, will immediately lose sympathy for the leading man if he's a complete sleazeball, if he's something like the Jason Alexander character. You know what I mean? So that's why they have this nonsense where he's not really out looking for a hooker, and it's just they meet almost by accident type thing. Well, they do meet by accident, but she just happens to be a hooker, and then he decides to invite her back to his room. You know,
So
as
yeah,
you do.
they get up to the room and they agree that what's $100 an hour or whatever it is, and he catches her in the bathroom, and again this goes back to the dark part that was kind of written but rewritten. Instead of drugs, he goes, "I don't have drugs in my place. I need you to leave," and it's actually dental floss.
Yeah, what was that all about? Yeah,
I mean, he's like, "Why are you peppering this?" And this is stupid. That was like part of the script, probably, where she was doing coke or something, and like this is the darker version we're getting here, but Disneyed up, and it's like doesn't work. You should just got rid of the scene. Period.
Yeah,
it was just really awkward, and yeah, I don't know. I felt the setup was poor, and yeah, I don't know.
I remember watching this when I was a lot younger and stuff, and even then it irritated the life out of me. You know, where she's doing the slapsticky thing with the, with the condoms and stuff, and she's all the different colors and stuff, and it's just this is so it's dragged out. This film's too long. While it does pass quite quickly when you're watching it, I still think they could have lost a lot of stuff, like this stuff with the stupid dental floss and stuff, and just get down to it. It's the most unconvincing sort of. I mean, I'm no expert, I have to say, on the realities of hiring a hooker and all the rest, but it just doesn't. It's hard to buy. Here's the thing: Richard Gere is going through the motions here. You know,
oh, he doesn't want to be here. This is a comedy version of An Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah,
with pretty much the same ending. And he hated the ending of Officer and Gentleman. He hated it. Him and Deborah Winger couldn't stand that ending when he picks her up and walks out of the factory in her arms and so in his arms and shit.
Love lift us up where we belong.
Yeah, and as they're walking, it's funny. It's famous when he goes into that factory and he picks her up, and the credits are rolling and they're talking as he's doing it. They're both saying, "Fuck me, get me out of here. This is embarrassing."
Shoot me now. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the same ending they have here.
Exactly.
But yeah, it just, and then she goes and he goes, "I'll pay you $3,000 to stay for the week." After they have yum time watching Lucy.
I love Lucy. Yeah.
This is really great. I mean, she goes to Rodeo Drive. Okay, it's fucking Rodeo Drive, one of the most poshest, expensive streets in the world. Period. Yes. You don't let her go out dressed like this. You don't. That's just stupid and dumb. So she walks into when I watched it when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, those are a bunch of bitches." I'm sorry. If you walked into a place or establishment looking like she does, dressed like a fucking hooker, I go, you know what? Come on.
You're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong shop.
Place. Go to the Gap.
Yeah. Go to Primark down the road. Go to Poundland.
I heard Walmart.
Poundland.
Walmart aisle 3 has got something going on there. You might like,
Yeah,
but
but
I understood why they do that. And I know it sounds mean me saying that, but come on, she looked terrible in that what she was wearing. I mean,
it's played for laughs, but also to get
it's
the
not.
audience
It's
more on
they
her
see.
side as
Yes,
well.
exactly. That's what it's for. And I'm rolling my eyes at this point at this. Now
It's
it
stuff.
gets.
Yeah.
This is where the film turns for me. So it gets. I'm kind of enjoying it. And it's the best character. We're introduced to Barney. I've
But
always
even
liked.
he's corny as well. I mean, I like
Oh
him. I like the
no,
actor, but it
I
is
like Hector
corny.
Elizondo. He was a great bad guy in the original, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yes. No, I
And
get it. Yeah.
so, and he's trying to get more, like, oh, can we help you with something? Oh, I'm with Ed. Okay. And he's your uncle? Oh, yes. Okay, good, good. And he's trying to, get her to say what he wants her to say. And I
Yes.
do like the rat-a-tat. These two have the best chemistry in the entire film.
Oh, no, I
Period.
agree. I agree. And really down to his acting essentially. But I would have liked to have had this more sort of a conflict there where he eventually warms to her. The problem I found was that he warms to her straight away. So I would have liked to have left the actual warming to her like basically at the end. We could have maybe thrown her out then. Richard Gere could have came along and said, no, please, this is my niece who's staying with me, which is
I don't think they could. He explains that
yeah.
because he says he's a very good customer.
Yeah,
So
but maybe
he
could have done
knows
it
who,
begrudgingly.
yeah, he didn't want, but he knows. And I do like the scene where he brings her, he calls somebody, and then she goes to this other
Shop.
dress shop, and she's very lovely to her. And she goes, I'm his niece. And then she goes, well, he's not really, I'm not really his niece. And then she makes a joke, they never are.
Yeah.
So some playful banter there, a little more calming now as she gets all, pretty womaned up. So I do like that dynamic. So
I hate the stuff where where it's playing for laughs, where she's like spitting the chewing gum out and stuff. It's just so unfunny, basically, and forced. It's just stupid. Um,
I think that's stupid. Like when she's playing with the oysters at dinner and shit like that, or whatever she's playing with.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
I think it's childish. And the problem I have with that is that she's clearly a smart woman. In
Yes,
the beginning,
exactly.
we're actually told this. She's a very smart woman. Why would you behave like this in this type of environment? You should be able to adapt pretty easily.
Nobody, I mean, I don't come from that upper class sort of fancy restaurant background, but if I ever went to a fancy restaurant, I wouldn't behave like a complete and utter moron with the food and stuff. She's behaving like a 5-year-old child. It's stupid. I know not to spit chewing gum out in front of like a fancy shop or any shop for that matter. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't, obviously it's played for laughs, but it didn't get my laugh.
I love to see where he's back from work and he tells her, I'll meet you down at the restaurant and I'll pick you up. We're going to go meet James and David, the business he wants to buy out.
Yes.
And he goes on the restaurant. He's looking around for her. God, where could she be? And her back's turned to her. Well, she's straight ahead, you idiot. If you don't see that, she's right there. And he's like, God, where could she be? And she turns around. And he's like, oh my God.
I know. You know who bugged me incredibly in this film and always has? The dipshit bellboy. I cannot
'Cause he's
stand that. I'm not against the actor, obviously, and he pops up in loads of things. He was like a go-to sort of character actor for like the 80s and sort of early 90s. But he's another simpleton. I just cannot be arsed with this. It's at least Hector Alonso has a certain gravitas. This guy's just a moron. The character, obviously.
When they have a whole night out and she wakes up and she's looking for Edward. And he's like, where's Edward? Oh, he's in there. And there's the cleaning crew in the restaurant cleaning up. And here he's playing the piano.
Yeah.
And she's just next to him and they start fucking.
Yep.
And he asks the cleaning crew to leave, which is fine and all, but not all of them are going to leave. And then second of all, the door's wide open and you're going to fuck her right at the top of the piano? I mean, where's
the peeping toms?
I would love to see Barney's look if he walked into that piano room and see if he'd be as nice and accommodating when he sees his best fucking client fucking a hooker on his piano.
Grand piano. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're going to leave a mess in the grand piano. I can't see Barney being too happy about that, you know? Yeah, it's very contrived. I mean, all of this is completely contrived. But you know what? At the same time, it's a certain type of film, and it's not my type of film, and that's okay. But it is
Why are you
fucking
sucking this dick?
stupid. What?
Why are you sucking this film's dick now?
I'm trying to be fair.
No,
and-
no. You can't be doing because you got to be honest here because you literally hate this film. You said in the last
Oh, it's
podcast, you
completely-
literally said, "Let me finish." You said
Go ahead.
you fucking hate this film. You hate it. You're gonna tear it to shreds. And now you're like, is there like somebody like that loves this film? Why you're
No.
kind of flip? I mean,
No,
What?
no.
Why?
Right, first off,
why is it?
first off, I'm not selling out. Right, I think it is completely ridiculous and stupid. But I hate's a strong word. I don't hate it in terms of like actually hating it, but I think it is completely idiotic and stupid and makes no sense. But at the same time, each to their own. There is a certain rom-com type audience who lap up this sort of thing. It's not for me. I think it's ridiculous and idiotic. But at the same time, hate's a strong word. So
What is it? Hate's a strong word. If it's a piece of shit, it's a piece of shit.
no, it is a piece of shit. But you don't. I can still.
Okay, so it's a piece of shit, but you don't hate it.
Because I was laughing at it.
Okay,
whenever I
you can say
watched it-
hate, but you can say hate. I hated that book, or I hate that movie.
Yeah,
It's not a strong word. It's a strong word if you hate that person. That's
Yeah.
a strong word. But hate because you hate a film, just hate it. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Because rewatching it for the podcast,
I got it. So you
I-
love it. You
I don't
found it.
I-
You found a special place in your heart for the hooker.
for all the wrong reasons. The reason being because whenever I was watching it, I was laughing, but not with it. I was laughing at it. So by the end of the film, I was entertained because it was so stupid and ridiculously bad. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it for all the wrong reasons. So that's why I no longer hate it. But I think it's completely idiotic and it's laughable. But I did, and I was laughing again, not at the jokes and stuff. I wasn't irritated. I mean, it was just like I was rolling my eyes, but laughing at the same time.
As Vivian's starting to adapt to the new clothes now, there's a same shot they did in the Rodeo Drive when she's walking down Rodeo Drive in the whore outfit.
Yes,
She's now walking in, regular, the new clothes that Ed got
Nazi
her.
clothes.
And now this time people are staring at her just like they were last time, but not for different reasons.
Yes,
And so I do like little things like little touches like that. Not major, but it shows that she's starting to adapt to the world she's starting to become used to.
so you love this film now, then, right?
I never said I hated it. I said last week on the podcast that I still like Pretty Woman. I don't know, again, I think it's terrible, but I kind of enjoy it. I remember the soundtrack. I love Richard Gere. I'm a big fan of his. So I go with
Well,
it.
that's what basically the.
I like
point
rom
I'm at.
coms. I know. I like rom coms.
Well, I'm not a
like
rom-com man. Yeah.
Working Girl is one of my favorite films. It helps. You got Sigourney Weaver and Harrison Ford in there, but I could go with rom coms.
Right.
I just don't like Julia Roberts. I'd rather have seen Meg Ryan in this, or somebody else. I don't like her. There's an
Best
unlikability.
rom-com.
She seems like she can't play nice good. That's the problem.
It's too
She
forced.
comes off. She looks like she's a spoiled brat already, and
yeah,
that's why
it
doesn't
comes
work.
off as forced.
I remember seeing this, and I just jolts my head now. I remember they should have reversed the roles. Hit should have been the star. She should have been the hooker because there was something about her. She was more
More
she looked
likable.
more vulnerable.
Well, she was more likable. Yeah, I know she's a complete and utter moron and a dipshit, but she's a bit more relatable in that she's a bit more believable, type thing. Julia Roberts is completely unbelievable here, and it is preposterous. I'm not a rom-com man, never have been. I think they're all generic. You know what I mean? It's basically copy and paste type thing. They get together, then there's the big fallout scene, but then they get together anyway at the end. Blah blah blah. But so if you're going to give me a rom-com, give me something that goes outside the box. Like I have to say, Muriel's Wedding with Toni Collette, and it has proper dark, edgy humor. in it. So something like that maybe could work. But what we're getting here is played too safe, way too safe, and you're sort of it's so bad you're laughing along at it, or at least I was.
The one scene I couldn't stand, and it's the polo scene, and
Yeah.
all these pretentious pricks.
Mhm.
I mean, why would you want to be part of this? And even his exes or the women, the way they talk about Edward. Edward's not a bad
Right.
guy. He's just distant. That's his only problem. And but his so-called friends are terrible. And then Philip sees Vivian talking to David, and who she had dinner with the other night, and now he thinks she's a spy. And
Yes.
finally, he's had enough. And Edward says she's a hooker. Okay, she's not a spy. And then there's Philip going up to her. Hey, maybe I can hire you when you're done with him.
Yeah.
And which he should have said. I will agree with her on this. She is right. He should not have said anything. But I
It
do like
robbed her of her dignity.
yeah, but well, she's a hooker. But anyways, I do like
So you're Philip then, right? So
no, no. My point is, I do like the argument. It's adult. It's what we've been getting is like rolling your eyes. But she makes the point where here's this whole week you've been making me wear these dresses, and obviously she appreciates it, and doing this, blah blah blah, do this and do this, and yet you called me out as a hooker to your friend. It's the first thing you did, and she's got a point.
Yeah.
But he also makes a good point. Well, guess what? You are a hooker, and you are my employee.
Yeah.
And she goes, "You've never made me feel. Nobody has made me feel as cheap as you did today." And
It's
so she leaves. But I do like she leaves, and then he turns around, and she never takes the money.
Yeah.
And that's what stops her. That's what stops him. That's what gets him to go back to the elevator and stop her and go. And he says, actually, he makes a really cool. He makes a real good, solid apology to her, and it's actually a nice scene where these two finally have some chemistry.
Yeah, I would say as well that this scene is probably out of the entire film is the only believable adult scene with adult
Yes,
dialogue in the entire
100%.
film. Yeah,
100%. Well, I do like I like the dinner scene when he's talking to James and David about buying his company, and he tells a story about his father and how his father treated companies and so forth.
That was cold. Yeah,
Yeah, and he took over from that, and so that's pretty good dialogue. But again, it's kind of ruined a bit with the misfit playing of Vivian not knowing how to eat.
yeah, no, that's just idiotic. And again, it's like watching a 5-year-old, trying to eat their breakfast or whatever, a bowl of cereal. It's just stupid and irritating. Yeah, I would say that we often talk about character arcs. Edward actually has a good character arc where he has learnt from her and to be a better person, and by the end of it he decides to not be a total shit to this other company and destroy this company, which are basically a family company, and he decides to he becomes a better person over the course of the film. Don't know what happens with her.
No, she doesn't really have much of an arc.
No,
You
her
figured
mate
if anyone, she would.
does actually. Or she decides to pick up a hairdressing course or some stupid shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, the one who had the drugs.
Yeah.
The one who had the drugs, she's finding herself more than what she is. And even Barney was quite, he's more protective of his favorite client than he was her. But at the end of it, he feels sorry for her. And so even Barney has an arc. And the only one who doesn't is Philip and Vivian. And Philip's arc is that he's always been a prick. And when he finds out that Ed has thrown this all away, he's going to merge with them, because he even makes a line to Philip. He goes, "We never build anything."
Yeah.
And that was the line where we realize that Edward has decided to change gears. Get it?
Yes,
change gears. Yeah. Richard Gere. You know what? I'm done.
But also it goes back. Actually, I'm going to be fair to you. That actually works in 2 ways, because at the start, whenever he's in Philip's car, he can't shift the gears. So indirectly that was a double. That works in 2 ways.
No, it doesn't. Mine was better. It was improv, and now you're going to piggyback on it and now have a laugh.
I was giving you credit.
No, it didn't sound like it.
Well, it did. I was giving you credit for the joke. flip me, talk about defensive. But anyway, back to the film.
So I do.
Yes,
So
Vivian
he
doesn't really have an arc. I would have liked it for Vivian. You know the way we were talking about the scene just there where she basically gives him back the money. I think at the end she should have given back the money and said, it wasn't about, it's not about the money anymore type thing. And actually, but she takes the money.
No, she needed that. That would be stupid.
Well,
That
at
was the
least
whole
leave
point.
some of it.
Oh, here's $50.
I'd just go with a fiver or something and then give it to her mate. To
So
start up the hairdressing course bullshit. But yes.
I love how she gets $3,000 and she gives Kit some money to start a new life. And she's
Yeah.
going to San Francisco. What the fuck are you going to do with San Francisco with like a grand or two? That's going to last like a day.
It's just, yeah, exactly. She's going to take up it's something to do with makeup course or hairdressing or something like that. But again, it's a nice wee arc for her because I know she's.
No, I'm talking about
as hell.
Vivian. Vivian is going to go.
Oh, sorry, Vivian.
San Fran.
Right. Yeah.
But he does offer her this thing. This is funny. He goes, I'm going to give you an apartment, spending money, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I can't do this. You're treating me like a hooker again. And he goes, what? No, I'm not. It's just a different location. And I'm like, fuck you. You take that apartment and money in 2 seconds flat. And think about what you could do with that money. You could you can educate yourself. You can open a business and then leave them.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, shaft them, and I don't mean sexually. Yeah. But no, I think this is where they're sort of playing on her arc, where she's deciding that the hooker game's not for her. And to be honest, I don't think it ever was. But
I do love when she tells the story. Listen, my mom used to lock me in the attic.
What? That was random dark shit.
I was like, what the fuck? And she goes,
go ahead.
She always locked me in the attic when I was bad, and I was bad a lot of times. So I pretended that I was being locked in the castle with my wicked stepmother.
That's charming.
And Edward's like, if I was Edward, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe I'll go with Kit.
Yeah, I think again that's like a leftover from the original darker script because it just goes in this weird horror direction briefly where she talks about being locked in the attic by the crazy mother, and it's like what's going on here and what am I watching here, and is this some sort of like strange sort of I don't know, the people under the stairs that we're direction that we're going in. But so again, it's sort of hinting that she had a basic. It's sort of trying to explain why she turned to prostitution, But it does feel, compared to the tone of everything else that's come before, apart from whenever we get to the scene soon with Jason Alexander, where he basically jumps on her, it is a bit out of place.
When Philip shows out, and this is where, again, we talk about the lock in the attic, the comment with Kit stealing the money to do drugs. This should have all been written out, including Philip's response. I mean, I can't stand Jelly. I think he's a whiner. He's got that whiny tone. And
the character he plays, but
he does. Yeah, that's all he plays.
Yeah,
he plays it. That's all he has, and it's annoying. And then when you make him a vile human being, it's even worse. And first of all, he's not even a quarter of the size of fucking Julia Roberts. She would have killed him.
Yeah.
But he slaps her hard in the face and tries to rape her. And it's like, what the fuck? Where the fuck are we going here? And then he saves the day, obviously. But it's like, there should have been something where he's arguing with her, fine. And then he shows up, get the fuck out of here. How dare you talk to her that way? That kind of thing or something. It would have been better. That would have been better because in the beginning, when they had that argument, remember, he runs out the elevator and he apologizes for telling someone she was a hooker.
Yes.
Well, that could have been another arc for him by going after Philip, smacking him and going, don't you call her that. She's not a hooker, kind of going, his learning from that initial mistake. That would have been better. But this whole attempted rape thing is like, come on.
I think, again, it goes back to the trying to balance the actual real life, very dark material with what is essentially complete fluff and a fairy tale. And it's just like, it's tonally all over the place, but also the actual attempted rape scene itself is actually very hard to take serious because, and obviously sexual assault is an extremely serious subject matter, in the real world, but within the context of this, let's face it, completely stupid film, it's quite jarring, and it's just like, what? And then it's just a bit, where are we going here? And it's, but also the way it's played is very soap opera esque, like you would get on a daytime soap opera sort of thing, and it's just a bit, what the fuck? But I also get at the same time they have to balance the sort of dark subject matter, and also they need a bit of a finale and a villain. They need a villain, because he's the
He
only
is,
real
but we
villain
know he's
here.
the villain. We know he's the villain. You
Yeah.
don't need to. It
But
was
they
just
also
too
had
much.
to have him as, or sorry, not him, Richard Gere as the knight in shining armor. But it's just, it's tonally, it's a
It's
bit jarring.
preposterous.
It's
It's
jarring.
preposterous. A fight with words would have been just as powerful, and matter of fact, more believable than what we got here.
Well, actually, if done right and performed right and written correctly, it would have been actually much more dramatic and better and powerful.
Yeah, and this is just them not editing their source material correctly.
You see, here's the thing: if you're going to have a really dark script originally and then turn it into a rom-com, you're gonna have your work cut out, and you can see the places where there's the original script leaking in to what it eventually became, and
Talk about that.
It is jarring.
We talked about that with the author, is it Stephen Volk? I can't remember who it is.
Yes,
But he wrote The Guardian,
that's right.
and it was originally a horror comedy, and Sam Raimi got involved, and then he left to go do Darkman, and they brought in William Friedkin, who's the complete
Yes.
opposite,
Exactly.
and he wanted to do serious, so that kind of damaged the film a bit because they didn't know. Some people are laughing at it, but no, this is not funny. But they didn't edit it correctly to where, no, we're playing this serious, and that's there was in fact there was an attempted rape scene in that film, but it came off like these hooligans misfits.
Yes.
And we're like, is this what? It didn't play right. And this is the same thing. You're going from dark and bleak to a comedy, and there you're going from a horror comedy to dark and bleak. So it's like, well, where are you going here? Same concept.
I think the concept of having a rom-com set in the world of prostitution, it's a very hard trick to pull off, and what we do get here, while it works for this film is hugely popular. A lot of people love this film. It's considered.
I like the film. I'm putting it down, but I still enjoy it.
I suppose when you think about it, all rom-coms are completely ridiculous, by their very nature. But I suppose you have to take them for what they are, a bit of fluff, a bit of silliness. But I think setting one in the world of hookers it's quite a sort of ballsy thing to do. And, yes, it is completely stupid and ridiculous and stuff, but in many ways, in terms of box office and the money they've made from it, they have pulled it off. But I personally don't think it works. I found myself laughing, but not in a good way at it,
Yeah, it's not going to be for everybody. I get that 100%. And it is what it is. Good soundtrack. Decent cast. Besides, I think Julie Robertson's miscast. I really like Hector Elizondo. It's got, something went wrong in the rewrite room, and it's got its flaws. But guys, it's 2 hours, and literally, it flies by like an hour and a half.
Not boring.
It's not boring.
What's really surprised me, because I hadn't seen this in years since I was a kid, and I looked at whenever I was about to switch it on, I was sort of a bit pushed for time. I'm not gonna lie, I was in work skiving, and here's me 2 hours, and I was like, shit, that's quite long, and this is gonna bore the life out of me. I might have to watch it in like 2 parts, like watch an hour and then watch another hour. But you know what? I wasn't bored, and it did fly in.
There you go. I'm giving Pretty Woman a pass.
For what it is, yes.
Well, I don't mind rom-coms, like I said. Some of them work, some of them don't. They're kind of like Hallmark movies. They're formulaic. Totally. You kind of know what you're going to get. Hey, at least you can say this one pushes the envelope a bit because there's a hooker and, it's got some dark elements to it. Maybe that's the way we can go with it. Pat, give it a pass that way. But with the soundtrack and everything, and I remember working at a video store when it came out, and it was one of those guaranteed to be in stock, and it came out
Oh, yeah.
cheap. It came
Big
out cheap, like
posters and
20.
all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be like $90 when the movie came out. This one came out cheap right away for like $20, and you could buy it off the shelf. And so I got a soft spot for it, and I've always been a Richard Gere fan. Richard Gere. If you like Richard Gere, guys, two movies I go to for Richard Gere. It's always going to be Internal Affairs with him and Andy Garcia. He's a fucking vile pig in it. It's awesome, and a movie that introduced us to Edward Norton called Primal Fear.
Yes.
So good, so good. Those are his go-tos with my and Officer and Gentleman, of course.
Didn't he do
And
that
American
one? That
American
horror,
Gigolo was good too.
yeah. Didn't he do that horror one? The Mothman mysteries.
The
Remember
Mothman
that?
Prophecies was okay.
Prophecy. Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but he's kind
I
of
mean-
quiet. He doesn't do a lot. He kind of keeps to himself, which is fine.
Pretty, and you know what? I'm going to be honest. Whenever I started watching Pretty Woman here this time for the podcast, I did get a little bit of nostalgia, not for the film, but for that era whenever I was a teenager, and all of the girls loved this film, and my sisters owned this on video, and they used to watch it. I don't think they fully got the full implications of the character of Vivian, but and it did bring me back a bit. So there was a bit of nostalgia. Not in a sort of, just for the era, not really for the film itself. And the soundtrack as well helped too. You know what? It is what it is. And not for me, but I'll give it a pass on the basis that it does its job for that type of stupid nonsense type film. It's ridiculous, but
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. Yeah, awesome month for downloads, guys. We're up 373%.
thank you guys.
Yeah, what's going on, UK? Why aren't you downloading us, you jerks?
Yeah.
Yeah, pick it up. And yeah, so give us a shout at CitizenFrame_podcast on Instagram, and of course, Facebook, and CitizenFrame and Outlook.com if you want to give us a shout. And what's next? I think it's either Send Help or Primate. Probably
Right.
Primate. Probably Killer Monkey Movie.
We're going back to our roots. We're leaving rom-coms to the side, and we're going back to monkeys ripping people's faces off and Sam Raimi.
Yeah, we might do Project Hail Mary.
Yes, that's
We might do
probably
that.
very good.
I'm going to see it this weekend. But it's one of those films that we got to see it a couple times because it's probably a lot to take in. But
Yeah.
if we do Project Hail Mary, I want to do The Martian first then.
Yes,
Because it's by the same writer, and The Martian to me is a masterpiece of filmmaking. I love The Martian. So that'd be a fun one, but it'd be a long one. And so, we'll probably see what's going on Project Hail Mary, what's going to video on demand, because I will see it in the theater no matter what, because he deserves to see it in the theater, and then we'll take it from there. But either way, hold us to Killer Monkey Movie, Primate.
exactly. You can't go wrong with the Killer Monkey, or Sam Raimi. So yeah.
No CGI monkey. So there you go.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all we got. Guys, take care of yourselves. We'll chat soon.